What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Undialed podcast, a source of scootering knowledge that you guys can learn from and hear from accounts from first-hand riders that influence the scenes around the world. And today we have a really special guest. Special guest, introduce yourself.
To that camera?
If you want.
Yeah, yo, what is going on? My name is Austin. You guys might know me from the Vault Pro Scooters YouTube channel and anything like that. But yeah, Austin Spencer. I'm here. Very excited. Thank you.
So the first critical question of the day is, are you feeling more red today or are you feeling more yellow?
I don't know what kind of question that is.
You just have to answer.
I think I'm feeling a little bit more yellow.
I knew it.
Why?
Because I have some yellow glasses and I have some red glasses. Brand new glasses on the set.
Beautiful.
I'm always feeling red.
Hey, fun fact. Fun fact for the people watching this podcast. I actually did the first Undialed podcast ever that never came out.
Yeah, well, that was the testing one. You know, you're like the little lab rat that we got the kinks worked out on. You know, we couldn't drop that one to the public. That would be disgrace.
That's all good. Just so you guys know, that happened.
Actually, the very first podcast I think we ever did was Claudius's. I think we had no intentions of doing any podcast, and then it was just like, I will pay to watch this man just sit there and talk. So that's why we started.
I would have paid to watch Claudius talk.
Like back in his like 2018 like peak Claudius. That was so funny.
Absolutely.
So Austin, you have a very interesting role within the scootering world, and I feel like your role is very unique, and also it hasn't really ever been done before. And I feel like that role that you play is you are kind of the image of the most popular scooter shop in the world. You're the person that gets associated with the shop. You're not the owner of the shop, but you're the person who, when kids think of the Vault Pro scooters, they think of the person talking about the Vault Pro scooters, which is you. And I feel like that's a really like cool and unique spot to be within scootering, because you have this unique power where I feel like for a lot of kids, like the Vault Pro scooters is like a Disneyland website, right? It's like when their parents are on the Vault Pro scooters, it's a good day, right? And you're kind of like the guardian of this like magical land. And I feel like through that, you've definitely gained a following and you've gained like popularity just behind yourself. And I'm curious, like when you first entered into scootering, was this a goal or a mission that you saw, or did everything just kind of fall into place?
That's a really good question. So, off the top, I just want to like acknowledge that I'm like eternally grateful for the Vault, the opportunities that I've been given, the things that I've learned. I mean, just an amazing location. An amazing job, an amazing place. Obviously, you've met the owner.
Yeah.
Amazing person.
Yeah, Nick is awesome.
I can't see my life without Nick. I at this point, I can't really see my life without the Vault, but I try my best to kind of live in the moment. I don't want to think about what the future holds. But as far as if it was like part of a plan, I don't really know. I mean, I always tell kids that, I'm a scooter kid just like them, because I was a fan of you. I was a fan of Clayton. I was just a scooter kid from Palm Springs that like, I don't know. I've always been into scootering. And I always in the back of my head told myself that I wanted to make it in scootering. But it was very obvious pretty early on that I wasn't going to make it as a rider. Because in the early 2010, 2011, 2012, the Australian scene was going crazy. U.S. scene was starting to pick up a little bit, but the skill gap in scootering or the level of riding was nowhere near as high as it is now. So at that point in time, the chances of making it as a rider were like kind of realistic in a way. Like I could actually go to comps and stuff if I wanted to, and like there was a shot that I could actually like do okay. And I just never really took it too serious. Scootering was more of like like an outlet for me as a kid. It was like how I dealt with all my emotions. If I was angry, I would go to the skate park. If I was sad, I'd go to the skate park. And it's how I met like my group of friends. All of my friends were built around scootering and skating and stuff like that. So I had a really good group of friends and whatnot. And either way, I realized I never really took competing serious because I never really competed, and just kind of scootered more as a hobby. And then the skill gap just jumped. You know, I'm sure you guys can reference it to
absolutely.
like 2015 and up. It was just like every trick was 10 times harder than it was prior. So I realized that I had no luck, or I had no chance getting or making it as like a rider. So I didn't think about it. I just continued. I was actually working just normal jobs. Fun fact for the people that are watching this, my first job, I worked at Legoland when I was like 17.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sick.
In my senior year of high school, I worked at Legoland because I live in San Diego. After that, I moved to Temecula, wasn't hyped in Temecula, moved to LA, and my best friend growing up, Jesus, was actually working at the Vault because Arthur got him the job.
Yeah, of course. Arthur was great.
Yeah, I miss Arthur, man. Shout out to Arthur. And then I was staying with Jesus on the weekends just because I didn't want to be in Temecula. I wanted to be in LA because everybody was scootering. And since he was working at the Vault, I kind of just started meeting everybody. And then, what was it? And then Jesus also lived with Shelby and still does, lived with Shelby and Walter.
It's kind of the Vault house for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of just got in with everybody early on. And then there was an opportunity for me to move to LA. And I had no idea where I was going to work. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was on unemployment because this is like 2017, you know?
Yeah.
Right before my 19th birthday. And I moved to LA with like no idea what I was going to do. Jesus got me an interview for a seasonal position at the Vault because we hire in our winter season just for the influx of orders, you know, for like the shipping department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got an interview for that. And I showed up like button up shirt, no beanie and hat, like resume in hand, like, you know, taking it professional.
Yeah. Take like a real job interview.
And I show up, dude, and like everyone's like mad dogging me. It's like Andrew Zamora and like James Webb and Ruben. And
just in their hoodies.
yeah, and I'm like, hey. So either way, I walk up to my manager now, who was obviously the one that I was emailing back and forth about my interview. And when he realized that, he didn't realize that it was me, I guess, through email. But when he saw me, he knew that it was me because I had always hung out there with Jesus. So I didn't even get interviewed. I just got hired on the spot. He was like, sorry, we got Nolan Shoemaker outside making some noise. But either way, I don't know. I walked in.
You got hired on the spot.
Yeah, I walked in and I was like, hey, Ephraim. And he's like, hey, what's good? How are you? Blah, blah. And then he's like, what brings you in? And I was like, oh, I have an interview with you. And he's like, it's you? And I was like, yeah. And then he was just like, all right. And he like looked at my resume and he's like, all right, go organize those wheels. And it was actually, my interview was on my 19th birthday.
That's crazy.
So my anniversary every year for working at the Vault is always on my birthday.
What is it?
11/7. So November 7th every year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so my 24th birthday, which just happened, was also my 5th year anniversary of the Vault. Been there 5 years.
Dang.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. I think about Undialed. We've been doing this for almost 6 years now, which is pretty incredible.
But time flies. Honestly, time flies when you're really like enjoying it. And I truly do enjoy working at the Vault. And like we were talking about earlier, I didn't have any plans to make it as a rider. I always wanted to make it in the scooter scene. And just very, very hyped that I found a way to do it with, without necessarily being a insane scooter rider, which I take a lot of pride in that. You know, like in this day and age, personality can take you so much further than a lot of other things. So as soon as I started doing some of the Vault videos and...
so tell me about that really quick. Yeah. So you initially got hired, and then from there... You said you went to immediately stocking wheels. How did you go from stocking wheels to being the face of the Vault YouTube channel? How did that come to be? Because I'm sure it was, like you just said, it's through communication with people, but how did you position yourself in a way to do that?
So when I first got hired, I just was like packing orders, pulling orders, just, the bottom of the barrel, seasonal employee. But I will say that at that time, obviously I had just moved up I just moved to LA. I was hungry. I was hungry. I was previously on unemployment. I wanted a job. I wanted stability. And since my job was seasonal, which it was, my manager and the owner of the vault, Nick, would always make references like, oh, if you, can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah.
They would always say, like, if you work your ass off and you prove that, like, you're a good worker, there's a big chance we might keep you after the season because, as a business, it makes sense. If you have an employee that comes in as a seasonal employee and
they make the operation better,
they just kill it. Yeah. They have something to offer long term. It makes sense. You would want to keep them. Mm-hmm. So for that entire first year that I worked at the vault, I was actually scheduled 6 days accidentally, and I never complained about it. I got the schedule, saw that I was 6 days, and was like, cool. Like I'm not gonna go bitch about it because I was like, I wanted to prove myself.
So when you say 6 days, like they scheduled you 6 days in a row?
No, just 6 days a week. So most of the time you work 5 days, you have 2 days off.
Yeah, of course.
Whether they're back to back or spread out. And I was scheduled 6 days. It was the holiday season, so it makes sense. We're busy and stuff like that. And I just never really,
You didn't realize it was an accident. You were just like, all right, like this is my job now. Like let's make it work.
I wasn't necessarily sure it wasn't an accident, but at the same time, like I thought it may have been like a test. I don't know. At that point,
You saw the opportunity in it.
I was so young. And I think back to like how I was when I was 19, and even thinking back to like when we first met, like we both have grown so much as people because it's very true. And I was just so young and so naive that I was looking back at it. I probably should have said something because of like, just like you shouldn't do that. But either way, I worked 6 days a week for like the first 6 months to a year that I was there. Never complained. I was just like, if I needed to stay late, I stayed late. I had like no life. I just moved here. I had no friends really. That
was your life.
Exactly. I was just...
That was your family.
That's where it started because I didn't have any family in LA. Sean and I just were becoming friends really at that point. And the only person I really knew was like Jesus.
It was like you had a passion, which was scootering. You didn't have any friends. And then the job was like based around scootering and also gave you friends. And that's how you fell into being a part of that family.
Exactly. So as far as the videos go, I don't remember exactly what happened. I just know at one point my boss, Nick, was like, hey, because I knew about the channel. I watched the channel before I worked there.
Absolutely, because Arthur was the face of it for a while.
Yeah, it was like Arthur and Andre.
And then it then transferred from Arthur and Andre to Walter.
So the way that I saw it go down, from what I saw, it was Arthur and Andre from the start.
Mm-hmm. Mostly Arthur, though. Yeah, Andre was kind of like the sidekick.
Exactly. And then as they started to fade out, Walter faded in. Mm-hmm. And Walter started kind of taking over all the videos and stuff like that. And Walter does a great job.
Yeah.
And then Sean got hired. And then Sean started to do more of the videos. And then Sean started to kind of take over the channel as well, where he was doing more of it. He was just more of the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then eventually I got put into the videos. And I was just like... I think what we were doing, which is something that we're actually working on right now, is just building a cast of people, Like when you think of Undialed, you think of Will and Clayton. When you think of The Vault, at one point you thought of Arthur and Andre. You may have thought of Walter and Sean. You may have thought of Walter, Sean, and Austin, Or you may have thought of Walter, Sean, Austin, and Y-Dog. Who knows, Mm-hmm. It's each their own. But right now we're trying to build like a new cast of people because it's important. But
I think that's a very critical reason, like a very critical thing for particularly the Volt Pro scooters.
Very.
I think when you think about scootering, like scooters are just an entertainment source at the end of the day. And when you are making a business out of selling entertainment, you have to have people who convey the message of like, this is fun. Because ultimately the only reason that anyone scooters is for companionship. Yeah. So it's like there needs to be companionship all the way from when they're immediately first buy a scooter. So I definitely agree with that.
And people look for the connection. Like I was on the phone with Waza the other day, right? That's like a dream come true. Like as a kid, I watched every Nick A Films video. The Australian scene was blowing up. But if you look back at like the Nick A Films era of YouTube for scootering, it wasn't just like the production quality. Like now I look back at it and I'm like, dude, the quality of these videos is insane. Like obviously Nick A knows what he's doing. But at that point in time, I was so attached to the friendship between like Josh Newbert and Waza and Cody Donovan and Chris Hart. Like they genuinely were friends, and you could like tell that every video was just like a bunch of friends having a good time,
Absolutely.
And I think that genuine activity or like that, just that connectivity between people is what is like key for at least stuff like the vault, because it's like we're a scooter shop, but at the same time, like people want to see content, but there's so many other outlets for scootering. Like if you want to watch insane level scootering, go watch Olay's channel, go watch Undialed channel, go watch Tranquil's channel, and that's where you can go find all the video parts. But realistically, if you want to watch like a bunch of like goofy dudes that work at a scooter shop, like do scooter Olympics and ride scooters with welded on head tubes and just do dumb stuff, that's where you can come find us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I feel like what's interesting is I look back on these old Mad Gear videos, right? And even the USA ones, like the team tour videos. And
by the way, if anybody watching this podcast has the Mad Gear SoCal Tour DVD, hit me up. Sorry.
But basically, I look back on those old videos, and I also hear a lot of people just within scootering talking about the old days of scootering, right? Like, why can't it be like the old days of scootering? Like, and it's strange to me initially when I hear that, because I'm like, the old days of scootering, like, what do you mean by that? Like, back when you hot glued your wheels? Like, dude, we have like premium like scooter parts now.
The quality is higher than it's ever been.
And it's like, if anything, that should translate to more fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's when these people talk about how they miss the old days of scootering, I feel like what they really miss is this certain level of intimacy amongst friends in a group.
Absolutely.
And I think that when people were building up their scooters and kind of hacksawing things, it brought people together through innovation, even if it was not even like revolutionary innovation. It was innovation for their craft. And I feel like that initial bonding is what brought that organic atmosphere that people really fell in love with. And I feel like at the Vault has kind of carried that in a way, because the people at the Vault are such recognized figures. And I feel like within scootering, like, we need to emphasize the friendship as the top thing, because friendship is the glue of scootering.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say 1000%. The friendship, just the connectivity between an audience, and like if one kid can relate to another kid in the comment section about anything, like, that's huge, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's why I've talked to so many people, right? And the scooter industry is a roller coaster, right? Some years are more popular, some years are less popular. But at the same time, scootering is so new. It's such a new sport. Like, we're so early in like where we are as a sport that I don't even worry about it. And I'm just like, cool. Some years are better, some years are worse. And with that same roller coaster of like interest comes, you know, that influx in views on YouTube or on social media. You're gonna have people interested, you're gonna have people not interested, right? But either way, I've had the conversation where I'm like, our videos could be number one on YouTube doing millions of views. They could be nowhere doing 5,000 views. I don't, as long as it's keeping any kid or any amount of children or just scooter riders as a whole just interested in the sport and making them go, wow, that looks like fun, I want to go do that with my friends, or just keeping their interest in scootering, it's a win for me, because we have to do our best to just keep people interested. You know?
Want to continue scootering because scootering has brought you so many great life experiences, and you want to ensure that kids in the future also get to experience some of those same patterns that brought you happiness.
Exactly. And I mean, we live in a different world now. I mean, if you think back to 10 years ago, like, it was a different world. Nowadays, kids or just everybody is flooded with so much information, so much content, so much information that they just don't really know what to like put their mind to. So it's like one day they're interested in scootering, tomorrow they're interested in skateboarding, the next day they're interested in playing video games. And it's like...
So listen to this really quick. I feel like what you're describing right now is just the vastness of entertainment, right? And I feel like you talk about kids' attention span. It goes over here and over there. And the next question that I wanted to ask you that relates to what I'm saying, and this is just a question about mostly your perception within scootering. So you kept saying, like, while you were talking about the Vault, you kept saying, like, I want I want to grow our sport. I want to grow our sport. I want to grow our sport. Do you consider scootering a sport?
I do, absolutely.
And why so?
Because it's absolutely no different than what BMX is. It's no different than what skateboarding is. And if skateboarding and BMX is considered a sport, scootering is 100% considered a sport. I mean, skating and BMX just got put in the Olympics. So it's like, if you want to classify something not being a sport until it's in the Olympics, I get it, but they just got put in the Olympics, you know? I think it's a way that it gets kids outside. It's a physical activity. It's something that does require coordination. It requires skill. It requires dedication. It requires everything a sport would like have a checklist for. You know what I mean?
I feel like when you put the label sport onto scootering, it creates a chokehold within the energy flowing throughout scootering.
That's true. I think it also depends on how serious you're taking it.
No. But seriously, for certain people out there, scootering is not at all a sport. It's their art. You know what I mean? Some people don't care about competitions.
Very true.
Because I feel like when you classify it as sport, it's like there's a competitive edge. A lot of people scooter not to be competitive. They just scooter for the art of doing it. I think a classification that can identify all mediums of scootering, whether you're at the far end of competitive park riding and you're all about competitions, or even competitive street riding. That's becoming a thing now, where people go to Street Jam and they're very competitive about winning. That's a realm of scootering. But there's also another realm of scootering where people are so disconnected from competing. They're about creating art. And I feel like if you take both sides of that and all of the little bits in between, all of the customers that you have, wherever they fall on that spectrum, it's like all of it at the end of the day is just entertainment. Scootering is just entertainment. It's an entertainment medium. Yeah. It's not a sport. It's what you make it.
That's true.
And I feel like one thing that's really awesome about this crazy technological world is, like you just said, like there's so much. There's a vast amount of ways that kids' attention span can go. Yeah. And sometimes they're into scootering, sometimes they're not. And it's like, I think we need to portray scootering in a way where it's like we're showing how vast scootering can be. Because I feel like when we start calling scootering a sport, or if we just even if we just started calling it an art, like only an art, it's like that chokeholds people's potential like moments within scootering, because it's classified down to a thing. But I feel like it, regardless if you're a competitive rider, regardless if you're an art, it's like it still just comes down to friendship and the glue between that, like, and the friendship is the glue between all of that.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, I don't know, it's so interesting because when we look at the scooter world, especially from like a shop's perspective, it's like we're trying to guess the trends of like what's happening within scootering. But I feel like what really needs to happen within scootering is we need to open up people's potential thinking about scootering. And I feel like if we're able to do that, and we're able to show diversity of friend groups, and show different perspectives, I feel like that's how we can create like very solid friend groups for kids in the world that will ultimately lead them to happiness.
Yeah, I think just keeping kids interested in scootering all around. As far as like calling it a sport, I think it just depends on who you are. If you're somebody who scooters, just once on your day off, because you have a full-time job, it's probably more of a hobby.
It's an entertainment.
Yeah, like it's something that you like doing in your spare time. You're not aiming to be the best, so it's more of a hobby than it is a sport. You think of kids that consider soccer a sport, because it is a sport, obviously, but those are kids that are, having games once or twice a week. They're practicing every day. They're aiming to be the best at what they're trying to do. I think if you look at somebody like Cody Flom or Chris Ferris, to them, scootering is a sport. They're training. They're dedicating all their time into trying to be the best. You know what I mean? But either way, whether you think of scootering as a hobby, a sport, an activity, or neither of the above, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. And I think that's really just what it comes down to. I think people need to stop worrying about being the best. People need to stop worrying about getting the best clips, because if you don't enjoy going to the skate park and just riding without a phone out, without a comp or anything, it's not going to last for you. It's not going to last for you, because I don't know about you, And I'm sure Clayton and you guys can all relate, but it's like I have to go ride my scooter like once a week.
Absolutely.
I don't care if I film a clip. I don't care if anybody is there. Just I can go by myself. I just need to like. It's so familiar, and it's like the escape. You know.
It's your medium.
Exactly. Even if it's for 10 minutes, go ride a ledge. I don't care. Just getting on my scooter and doing a couple tricks because it's such a familiar feeling is what brings me like sanity mentally.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's like you get so caught up in your thoughts about whatever, and then you're forced to overthrow those thoughts with muscle memory about how to do scooter tricks, and then your problems are gone.
So it's like I think that's another thing that this new generation of riders and just the way kids think now needs to change, because it's like, don't go into it just because you want to be amazingly good. Just go into it with like a positive mindset that you're having fun and you're enjoying it. And if you're progressing, cool. Like, I don't think people need to go into it with I want to be the best.
I think what we really need to do within scootering is appreciating people within the scene that really make a lot of actions for other people possible. And I feel like we need to highlight who those people are and appreciate that their roles are just as important as the top riders in the world.
Yeah.
And you said earlier, like, the progression of parts within scootering, or the progression of scootering at one point was very high, or it was very low, and then it started just to boom up out of nowhere. There was this moment where you were like, I'm going to make it as a rider, and then the level of scootering just went through the roof.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason that happened was because of the evolution of parts. I think
you can push scootering so much further.
Because it's like you have more trust in your parts react better, like decks are getting longer, wider, bars are getting lighter, wider. You know, it's like scooters are becoming more capable, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's a direct result of the improvement that's been happening recently, is because we're making these great machines now. And it's like, if you think about the top riders in the world, it's like these top riders need the top parts. And in order for them to get the top parts, the company that sponsors them has to create that top part, right? And that company that creates all the parts, they have to gain money to even design that part and produce it. And that comes down to selling scooter parts. And then that's where like the clients of the Volt Pro scooter come into play.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's fascinating to me is like, the progression of scooter parts will directly influence the progression of our athletes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I feel like your role as you is very crucial, because you get kids to buy parts, which then pushes companies to make better parts, which then pushes the overall level of scootering. It's like, and I feel like we need to start highlighting all of these positions within scootering that will ultimately lead to people being their best selves on a scooter, but all of these critical pieces that are going to set them up to do that. And we need to appreciate those pieces as just as important as the top single rider.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing that's really cool about you is you've shown that that's a path within scootering, because you don't have to be the best scooter rider to make a career out of scootering. You have to just find where you as a person will fit in the best. Like, you as a person, you need to figure out where you fit in the pattern.
Absolutely.
And I feel like what we need to do within scootering is start highlighting all of these different mediums, because kids could take an engineering degree that they learn in school, start their own scooter company, and actually like make a life out of it if they put enough thought into it, if they put enough idea into it. And I really feel like we have a whole generation of future like industry leaders that are all going to be a part of this big scooter world. It's just we have to position them into the way that they're going to find these jobs.
Yeah. And I mean, the jobs right now are going to be far and in between. You know, like like we said earlier, scootering is so new. It's so early. We have not hit our peak yet, in my mind.
Absolutely not.
There's still so much room to grow.
If scootering was Bitcoin, we had our first little big up. We're now at 50 cents.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. people saw that it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
So like, there's still so much room to grow, and at the end of the day, it's like we just need to continue to keep people interested, keep people, just like hyped on it. And I mean, I can speak from experience and just like conversations with people, like other industries, like the BMX industry, skate industry. They know that we're like a force to be reckoned with. They know it. They acknowledge it. They see us and they know. So whether like your local skaters like, you know, going to talk shit on you because you're a scooter rider, let them. Because like they're intimidated by us because
Absolutely.
there hasn't been a sport in a long time that, or even just an activity if you don't want to consider it a sport, that has like
It's an entertainment.
exactly. But no, there hasn't been anything that's come in a while that's absorbed so much of like the same demographic that skating and
Why do you
BMX.
think that is? I have my own theories, but I want to hear yours.
Why scootering is like
Yeah.
why it's picked up easier, I guess.
Why it's such a force to be reckoned with?
Okay.
The velocity behind the force. Why is it?
Velocity, get it? Okay. Okay, so this is my thought. And obviously my opinion doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But what I think it is that and this comes from my experience as well. So you put a 5-year-old kid on a skateboard and you go, never been on a skateboard before, and you go, hey, push from point A to point B. It's gonna be pretty tough.
Yeah.
Skating's hard. Not taking that away. Skating is a difficult sport, especially to get going on.
Has a tougher learning curve.
Yeah, getting going is harder.
Yeah.
Put a 5-year-old on a scooter, get from point A to point B.
They got it.
It's like that.
You could say the same thing about a 90-year-old person.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's why birds and stuff have been like the new wave of like.
That's why there's not electric skateboards.
Exactly, because an electric skateboard is way harder to ride than an electric scooter. So either way, I think what it is that picking up scootering is way easier. I think kids find progression faster because since getting going is so much easier, the amount of effort to land your first tail whip and your first bar spin or your first 360 tends to come pretty quick if you're fairly coordinated, you know, especially if you have friends and you have a good skate park. So I think that fuels their mind and they're progressing faster.
Yeah.
So it keeps them interested way more than it would have been if they were on a skateboard. If they were skating, they might not even have landed their first ollie or their kickflip yet, but they're already doing tricks on a scooter. So what I think it is that it's easier to progress faster on a scooter, which is making it just like a no-brainer for kids to kind of want to get into the scene because nowadays the scene is actually cool. We have riders that are catering to both ends. If you're more of the park scene, you have riders like Cody Flom to look up to.
Absolutely.
And then if you're more of a street rider, you can look at people like Juzzy or Nick Tedrick and like idolize style and just the street aspect of scootering and stuff like that. So I think that kids get into it because it's easier to pick up and then they kind of can choose what lane they want to go down. And it just they stay interested because they pick it up so much faster in my opinion.
So I think what you're saying right now is absolutely correct. And I think that it really comes down to the fact that a scooter was initially designed to be a transportation vehicle with tricks being a side effect. And a skateboard was evolved from a scooter that was designed to only do tricks. People designed a skateboard to be a toy. Like initially it was meant to have fun on. It wasn't meant to get you from point A to point B
Exactly.
in the most efficient way. And that's why a scooter was invented, was to get you to point A to point B. And then on the way from point A to point B, we learned that we could do tricks.
Exactly.
And I think that and it also something to not be confused about. When you're talking about the learning curve getting into scootering is easier, that doesn't mean that the effort that you put into it is any easier.
Of course not.
And I think that's a big distinguishing point that we need to recognize that skateboarders get very confused about. All right? It's like yes, initially right off the bat, it is easier to ride the thing. But when you get to the point where you're pushing yourself, where you're breaking your comfort zone, that level is exactly equal between skateboarding and scootering.
Yeah.
It's that intensity that you feel within your body, the reason why you do the activity. It's the exact same thing.
It doesn't require any less.
It's just a different medium. And the risk that you're putting yourself into is the same amount of risk. Therefore, you feel the same feelings. And I feel like that's a very confusing thing for people to understand, where it's like although the action might be portrayed as easier to transport, it's like that was the whole reason a scooter was invented.
Yeah.
The whole reason a scooter was invented was to transport. Of course, it's going to be easier than a skateboard.
Exactly.
And it's like, And I feel like that distinguishing is actually the reason why scooters are such a force to be reckoned with, because we have the potential audience that skateboarding will never be able to reach, because there will never be a large majority of people using a skateboard as a transportation vehicle and not anything as tricks. The only time you see people using skateboards as transportation vehicles is because they either skate and they have the muscle memory, or they are envious of skateboarding and they just want to obtain that image.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Otherwise, they would be riding a scooter because it's more efficient. It's
easier.
It's easier.
Yeah. It takes less energy.
It's
faster.
designed to be a transportation vehicle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that right there will give us the potential audience for the future of scootering.
Yeah.
Because really, we need to get freestyle scootering. How are we going to get our riders paid more? We need to get more money into it. Well, that means that we need to have more people interested into it. Whether they freestyle scooter or not, they just got to be able to relate to it. If we have people riding scooters every day for transportation, they're going to be able to understand what that person, that athlete, is doing in those actions better than when they watch a skateboarder and they have no understanding of it.
Well, I think another big one too is the intimidation factor. Skating is sick. Like, skating is a super cool sport, and to a young kid,
yeah,
that crowd can be intimidating. It's not necessarily the most welcoming crowd. I'm not saying skateboarding isn't welcoming, but in some aspects, it can
unless
be
you have a dad that's into it, that's going to show you the ranks.
But if you're just
you're just a loner kid by yourself,
it's hard. You're gonna walk by the skate park and you're not gonna feel like you can just join that group of people. You know what I mean?
Because there's a certain level of pretentiousness that is being spread amongst that group.
Because it's the cool sport. Because skateboarding was the outcast thing to do. It wasn't this looked up upon super sick go skate. Now it is, but back in the day it wasn't. So I think another big thing about scootering is that we're not the too cool sport. We're the anybody is welcome sport. We're all normal, nice people.
And that's why we have the purest community in the world.
We do have the purest community.
And
Absolutely.
it's because it's a group of individuals that choose to do an activity because they love it, not because there's a cool image that comes with it.
Nobody's trying to live up to an image.
No, exactly. And that's the reason why scooter riders are the coolest, purest group of there's been one time ever that I can remember in scootering where there's been some sort of racial brought up. One time. And it wasn't even a racial issue. It just got brought up. And for example, it's that is so sick. The fact that we have no walls like that in scootering, the fact that we all are just brothers and sisters within this community where it's just pure love.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It is super cool. And I think I don't know, tying back into what you were saying about how, just I guess my position at the vault and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm really I guess, I don't know how to word it, but the words that I want to use are that I'm very hyped that I made it to where I have without being that necessarily an insane.
And that's what I'm saying. You're a breed of person that's showing that you can do something within scootering that doesn't require you to only be strictly an athlete.
Which I really, really, really do like. I mean, I'm a pretty humble person, but it's something that I'm very proud of because it's huge. You know what I mean? There's so many insane riders, and it's for every insane scooter rider that there is in the world, there's -5 people that can entertain an audience or talk on a camera.
Absolutely.
I didn't think it was any, and I'm not saying it is special, but I didn't think it was anything.
No, that's your talent.
Unique.
That's your talent, is talking in front of a camera and really going through the ins and outs of what it is, fluctuating your mood through your speech. That's where you film your clips, literally.
Yeah,
that's
true.
your craft.
It is true. And I mean, and I genuinely love it,
I think that's the biggest key factor.
Yeah.
I feel like if you didn't love it, it'd be so obvious.
Yeah. Well, we had the conversation last night or 2 nights ago where I do feel like I caught a lucky break and I found the perfect spot. You know what I mean? Not only at the vault, but just with just myself in the vault. I think it's just it was just the perfect move. You know what I mean? I think I fit the part perfectly. and I think I can just help benefit in so many ways. Not doesn't mean that I don't have things that I need to learn and I could learn, but I just think it was like a really, really good move. And to really like tie into it, I would say the most proud thing that I can say that I'm proud of in scootering is that I'm like 100% genuine, like from when I'm at the vault to like when I'm here to when I'm at the skate park. It took a while for me to get comfortable on camera, and just in case anybody's wondering, it was bad. Like the first like year of doing YouTube videos, I'd never talked on camera before.
Yeah.
And I was 19. I was so insecure. I was so naive. I wasn't the same person that I am today.
Because here's the thing: is like when you're talking on camera, you're the same person. Like, but it's like you have to be a heightened, more sharp version of yourself. And what I mean by that is like when you're kind of casually talking with your friends, you can kind of take longer gaps between what you say.
But when you're talking on camera,
delivery isn't as important because you're just trying to get the message across. But when you're on camera, it's like you're conveying a message, and that has to be clear and direct for anybody, whether they know you or not, to understand.
Yeah,
and that's a skill.
And not even just like the being able to talk on camera, but also just having some sort of relatability. I think early on, I think that's what stood me apart from Sean and Walter when I was chasing them down. Because, dude, when I got hired at the Vault, I had like, not like it matters, but I had like 900 Instagram followers. I remember all I ever wanted was like 100 likes on a photo. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, that's all I want. And when I got hired at the Vault, Sean had like 13K, Walter had like 17,000 followers, and I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. You know what I mean?
I remember the first time I saw somebody like show me their K on their Instagram.
It's crazy.
I was like, that's not real.
And it, like, it's crazy. And either way, I remember getting hired, and I was like, oh, whoa. Like that, and I was the bottom. I was the third. I was the bronze. I was like the J. Cole of hip hop. Like I had the bronze medal. Sean and Walter were there, and I was here.
Who had the gold?
I think at that point Walter was. Eventually, Sean kind of took it over. But either way, I think what helped me stand out compared to Walter and Sean was just Sean was a little bit older. You know what I mean? He appealed more to like the edgier side of our audience. He was a lot. He had a.
You were very innocent. That's
what I think it is. Walter was edgy in his way, and like, you know, different.
Walter's interesting.
We all had different personalities, but we all were able to talk on camera. And I think that
you were more like a Disney kid than any of the other two. No offense.
No offense taken. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I was just more relatable. You know what I mean? For a 12-year-old kid sitting in his house, whether he's in Ohio or California, wherever he is or whatever, I think that I just was more relatable. And I think also from, like I said, from day one, I wasn't trying to be anybody. I wasn't trying to create this persona. I realized early on that I should just be myself, you know? And once I got comfortable with being on camera, that came easy. Yeah. Because it was like, okay, cool. I'm already like off camera. I'm already this like dumb person with like a stupid sense of humor that just wants to like have fun most of the time. You know, like I don't take a lot of things serious, but I think once I realized that, it was like, okay, cool. So just take that like dumb personality and like mix it in with the videos. And then it was just like a combination of a lot of things, but it's the thing that I'm like most proud of. Like when I meet anybody, whether it's like, I don't know, like anybody, like if you're a fan, the number one thing that just, you know, really like makes me hyped is like somebody telling me that like I'm exactly the same on camera as I am off camera. Because dude, I'm a nerd. I'm a scooter nerd. When we were in Spain, oh my God, I went up to every single rider that I was a fan of. I didn't care. I have no shame.
It's weird when they look at you and they're like, yo, I know who you are.
Oh, dude, we can talk about that too. But either way, like, I think that's a big thing. Because when I was a kid, oh my God, meeting my pro skate. I met Jeff Rowley, right? When I was like 12 years old. So I skated too. And he was the coolest dude, right? I went to like a shop, met him, and he was so nice. And that lived with me forever. So now, somehow I've fallen into a position where there's some level of that notability, or whatever the word is. Notoriety, sorry. It's early-ish. And
that's one.
When people come up to me and say that, it's crazy. I ensure that if they are going to come up and say hi to me, that I give them the time of day I look them in the eye, I talk to them, I compliment their scooter because they're gonna take that. You know what I mean? If I was just like an asshole when they came up to me, what's that gonna do? It doesn't make the brand look good, it doesn't make me look good, and it does not make scootering look good.
You have to be a friend to the kids that are also nerds about scootering.
No, but
you're their guide. You're their friend at the Volt Pro scooters who they trust, and it's like
crazy.
And it's funny because you were talking about a second ago or earlier in the podcast, you were talking about that relationship that you witnessed through NECA's videos.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of the new version of that, whether you realize it or not.
Crazy.
And like, I feel like that's a really awesome position to be in, especially since you looked up to the same position as a kid. Like that's kind of like, in a way, like full circle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now your mission is to sway that into having the next generation be able to take your spot, right?
I hope so. I don't know. I
mean, it's up to you to position it that way.
I'm just going to continue to try my best to show kids that it doesn't matter how good you are at scootering. There's a shot for you in it. You know what I mean? It doesn't even matter if it's scootering. It could be any sport. It could be any activity. It could be any hobby. Like, as long as you enjoy it, you could find success in it, you know? And also, be yourself. I think there's a lot of character in this room right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think real recognize real. When you meet somebody, especially as you get older, when you meet somebody who, like, is genuine and, like, kind of has, like, a similar mindset, you realize it, you know? Like, and you appreciate it and you respect it. But when you see somebody who is just trying too hard to be somebody else and is, like, bouncing back and forth between their, like, mixed personalities because they don't know who they are and they're just not being themselves, you can see that, you know? So
I feel like it's really tough in this day and age. You know, it's very easy to say, like, don't be somebody else. And
it's very hard.
And like, I consider myself a very creative and unique individual.
I don't know if I would consider you creative, but...
But it's still like I find myself falling into that envious or even because I think that's what it comes down to is just envy and jealousy where a certain personality trait strokes somebody in a way where they felt so strongly about it that they adopted it for themselves.
Yeah.
And they want to portray that same energy they felt onto somebody else.
Yeah. There's no longevity in it.
And
if you're pretending to be somebody else or you're not being genuine to who you are, there's no longevity in that. There's only so long because all those like fake personalities or like trends, you know what I mean? They only live for so long.
Yeah, it's like you only have your energy like strain, right? The energy strain that's unique to you.
Yeah.
And if you want to be powerful, you have to like shoot that beam of energy out. You can't try to conform that energy into some other version that you saw somewhere. You have to recognize what that is and just like go full on with it. And it's tough because there's no instruction manual. There's no you have and the thing is when you look to somebody next to you, that kind of is an instruction manual. This worked for them. I know it's going to work for me.
No, exactly.
But it's like so much of this reality is just based on like trusting your own because you know the answer in every circumstance. It's just like, are you going to listen to it?
I mean, outside of scootering, that's like life. You know what I mean? Like you see right from wrong. You have both doors. You have the right answer and the wrong answer, and you know that you have the choice between the two of them, but you still have that like second guess in the back of your head, like. But either way, I don't know. I think it's just so important to stay true to yourself. I think scootering is going nowhere but up. I think everybody watching this podcast or anything, just go ride your scooter, have fun.
So let me ask you, we've been talking about some pretty abstract concepts right now. Tell me about some of your short-term goals within scootering. What's some like on a personal Austin Spencer level, like what's some stuff that you want to do within scootering? That could be tricks or it could be like potential events that you want to set up or things with the vault. Like, tell me what's on your future.
Okay. So I'm currently filming for something. I have no idea what it is. I mean,
like a part?
I guess you could say it's a part. I don't ride for anybody. So
you ride for the vault?
I don't ride for the vault. I'm just a personality of the vault. Like I don't ride for the vault. That's what like, I mean, I don't correct people when they say it because
you ride for the vault.
The explanation of it is like way too much, and I represent the vault on such a strong like forefront that it's like it's easier just to say yeah, you know. So
that's the same thing as a sponsored rider though. They're representing the vault for sales. That's what you're doing.
Fair enough. I'll give it to you. So I'm filming for something. Long term, I have no goal of an amount of clips. I have no goal for a release date. I'm filming for something. I've been really enjoying scootering. I've been really enjoying getting better at scootering. I've seen that I've gotten better at scootering since I've been taking it serious.
Absolutely.
And I know that there's just so much more room for me to grow, so many more tricks for me to learn, so many, I don't know, I have so much room to grow.
What's a specific trick on your mind?
There's not even like any specific tricks that I want. I just want to have like a bigger variety of tricks. I want to be able to show up to a skate park and not just be looked at as, awesome from the vault. I also like want to be looked at as a semi-decent scooter rider. And that's a goal for me.
That was a huge flame under my ass when I started Undialed with Clayton. It's like, damn it, I can't just be seen as the personality. Like I gotta get good.
But you guys have done it. I mean, Clayton's insane and you're insane. You guys both offer just such diverse styles and different, creative mindsets of tricks. So you guys nail the coffin perfectly. You're nailing the coffin
but I know that incentive. I understand that energy. Yeah.
And that's just me because I at this point it's like I have a following. Cool. Check that off the list. I can put a little bit more effort into like me now. At first I still have that hunger. Like I'm still hungry, but I've gotten to the point where I can just direct my point of focus somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like the following is there. At first I was posting every cheesy post that I could do because I just wanted the interactions. I wanted the following. You know what I mean?
That's dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. But it does either way. Like, and plus my mindset has changed. What I post is different now than what I posted 4 years ago. So it's always going to evolve. And what I post in 4 years, if Instagram is still a thing, is going to be different than what I'm posting now. But either way, so I'm filming for something. When anybody will see it, who knows? I have like 7 clips or 8 clips so far.
Oh yeah.
And Daniel's been pretty much the one to film all of it. Who knows what that'll end up turning out like. As far as
let me stop you real quick right there. I want to ask a question. Mm-hmm. So, when you're filming and you're doing tricks, tell me about that process. Is like, because I feel like where you really shine in the scootering world is like being the personality. When you're doing tricks, like I'm sure you have to fight like mental battles about doing things. Like, how do you do that? Like, what's your process to doing tricks, like scary tricks?
Well, luckily, I don't do super crazy tricks. But at the same time, like I am trying to push myself. So there is some like mental pushback, Because
I feel like for a lot of athletes out there, I'll ask them that same question.
And it's usually the same
answer.
And
they're just like, I just do it. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that's not like in depth enough, like, and I feel like you're somebody that articulates things very well. It's like, well, how do you do it then?
I think it just comes down to a lot of the lessons you kind of learn as a kid, especially if you were younger doing the same thing that you're doing now as you're older. So as a kid, I picked up pretty early that like there's a chance you're gonna eat shit.
Yeah.
That like you're gonna eat shit throughout your scootering career, if you will. It's gonna happen. There's no way.
Sure.
Could happen very rarely. Could happen every time. It's entirely up to you. So one, like falling is going to happen no matter what. You can't go into anything like this and just be like, I really hope I don't fall. You just have to be ready for whatever happens. 2, confidence. If you have no confidence, do not try tricks. Like if you're going to backboard an 8 rail, and if you aren't feeling confident, don't try it. Go hit a smaller rail, go 50 a flat bar, and hopefully come back and feel more confident. Because if you don't have confidence in it, confidence is like everything,
Yeah.
And 3, like you were saying, the kind of just like you have to just go for it because that first attempt is everything. If you don't get that first attempt in, you're going to mentally battle everything, and at least in my mind. So like if you're pulling up to a trick or a spot or a set or something that you really want to hit and you haven't even done it once yet and you're just running up and running up and running up and running up, every time you run back, you're just losing confidence in yourself and losing. It's not until you attempt it once and then you go, oh, it's not that bad. Or now I know what that feels like. That you're like, I got this, and then you hit it. You know what I mean? It's always that first attempt. So whenever I see kids battling anything at the skate park or whatever, I'm like, just do it once. If you don't want to do it again after, that's entirely up to you. But just give it one solid attempt to break that mental fear barrier.
Yeah.
And then 99.9% of the time they do it, and they're like, that's not that bad. It's like when you were trying to teach me how to front 50 rails, right?
Yeah.
I was like terrified. And then after the first one, I was like, oh, that's not that bad. It's just that mental block.
Absolutely.
So that's how I deal with it. I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
that's sick.
But event-wise, we got some cool stuff coming.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you said short-term goals, right? That was the
Yeah,
question.
just for personal Austin Spencer or
So,
the Vault.
So, personal goals, filming for something. We'll see where that goes. 2, I wanna try my best. I wanna do some more stuff with myself. I wanna maybe make some more stuff. I'm almost out of my signature grip tape that I reordered and stuff like that. That was really cool. Just a really cool experience. I mean, same thing for you and Clayton. You know, like just seeing people riding stuff with your name on it or your brand is very, very, very amazing. It's just such like an awesome opportunity. Like you don't value that or realize how amazing that is until you see it. I think, you know, like having kids.
It's
Just
kind of
like,
a mind trip.
yeah, like I mean, having kids send me photos of like my grip tape on their scooter is like crazy, and seeing kids in other countries with it, and like it just like it's very surreal.
It's awesome.
So I want to try to do that more. I want to try to connect more with the kids that really do vibe with me, and we'll see where that goes. But as far as the vault goes, we have some really, really cool stuff planned. It's not 110% official. Well, it's gonna happen without a doubt. The date that it's happening on is still up in the air because there's just such a long process of getting permits and you know, permits cleared and all that stuff. But Sovereign of Street is happening. Very excited for that. I think Sovereign of Street is something that the industry needs, especially
Absolutely.
in the U.S. I think after going to Spain and going to a World Skate event and seeing how just you know, how far they've pushed scootering.
How blossomed their
Yeah, especially for the street side of scootering. I don't favor one side or the other, but there's obviously a hole for the street side of scootering in the U.S. to an extent. You know, in the competition scene there, that is. There's not really anything here for street riders. There's park comps all the time. Not really anything for the street rider.
Yeah.
But you need to cater to both. So there's plenty of big park comps, and Sovereign of Street was the first like big U.S. street comp, and to be, you know, invite only, 20 to 25 of like the best riders in the world, all battling out to be like the best, I think is like something that you can't not be like interested in. It's like watching Street League. It's like literally the best skaters all going head to head against one another. There's no random people. It's like literally the best of the best and only the best of the best going up against each other. It's like, what more could you want, you know? So I'm really excited for that. We did it a couple years ago. It was for the first time ever. It was a huge success. And this time around, I can only imagine it'll be even bigger and better. You know, we can correct our wrongs, do things differently that we should have done the first time. And this time around, hopefully have some more money to play with, make the prize pool bigger, just have more things that'll make the comp better, you know, more seating, shade, who knows, you know what I mean?
Spectatorship is the most crucial.
Yeah, exactly. So Sovereign of Street should hopefully be really amazing later this year. And I'm really excited because the list of riders is going to be completely different than the list of riders, you know, a couple of years ago. There's like this new gen of riders that is
There really is.
It's insane. The level of scootering has gotten even more insane either. So I'm really excited for that. And as far as that goes, I mean, comp-wise, that's the only thing that we have on our radar, but plenty of ride days. We have a ride day tomorrow. No, I know they won't see it, but either way, we're trying to obviously just keep doing ride days, keep the community alive in that aspect, just getting everybody together. Same thing that Undieled's trying to do in many ways too, just keeping the community alive.
Absolutely.
If you don't have those events, it's
We're
like
just adding lumber to the scooter fire, you know?
Yeah. Anybody watching this video as well, if you live anywhere and there's a ride day, I don't care if you're kind of interested in scootering still or super interested, go to the ride day. Go to the street jams. Go to the comps. Just support the sport. Like, just show love, because if you don't go, your homies might not go, and that's how, you know, it starts to affect us in a negative way. So we have a ride day this Monday. I'm very excited for that. I think it's going to be a great turnout, and it's just so much fun. I can't tell you how, like, what's more fun than just going to a ride day or going to a street jam and just seeing everybody like in one place, you know? I think it's amazing.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats a street jam. I think street jams are like, for me, it's like
I don't think we've created the best environment for scooters yet. I think that's still in the forefront.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. But very excited for scootering, very excited for the future. And honestly, we'll just see kind of like where it goes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very.
So let me ask you something really quick. And for a lot of the people watching out there, I feel like the people who tune into these podcasts and watch these podcasts all the way to the end, like they're scooter nerds. If you're listening to this, you're a scooter nerd.
Shout out to you.
And scooter nerds like us, you know, they want to work within scootering, and I feel like the Volt is kind of seen as like the place to do that. If there was, hypothetically, I'm just going to make somebody up. Suppose Bob from Ohio wants to work at the Volt Pro Scooters, and he loves scootering. He has knowledge about scootering. How should he go about even getting the idea to enter that realm?
To be completely honest with you, it's not like a far from like reality thing. Like it's like a realistic possibility. People, I think,
and what's that route? If you were to describe that route there's a younger version of you that was trying to get that goal.
Yeah.
What's the route you would instill?
One, just keep an eye out. I mean, we always hire for our holiday season. So from like October to like February or October to January sometimes, like we always hire warehouse help. It might not be a long-term job, but it's a foot in the door, right? So we always do. And if you follow us on Instagram, that's the best place because we always post when we're hiring.
Yeah.
And then say you get the opportunity for an interview, say you get the opportunity for a job. Because, I mean, you're just going to send a resume. Realistically, we try our best not to hire anybody under 18 just because scheduling and just like employment laws is just having
loopholes and
having an adult employee compared to having a minor employee is just
less liability.
Exactly. They can work more hours. We don't have to worry about some kid's parents being involved, you know, if he has like homework and stuff like that. It's just easier employing adults, right?
Yeah.
And it's a business. Like we were having the conversation last night about how scootering is so new and there's not a lot of scooter shops. And as of right now, the Vault, at least in the US, is like holding the standard of like what a scooter shop should be like, you know, as far as quality of our website or quality of how quick we get packages.
I feel like you guys
out.
just have the most infrastructure. Like I feel like Nick had so many patterns learned and figured out from his previous businesses,
which is 100%.
And then when he picked up the Vault, or when he started the Vault, it was immediately like, let's imply those old patterns.
That's exactly what it is, though. It's taking it's taking somebody who already has had the business experience. They've run into the walls. They've learned what is right and what is wrong, what not to do, what to do. Because if you've already started a business in the past and you've experienced those things, it's only right that you can correct them the next time around.
Absolutely.
So when the Vault came around, the one thing that was that separated the Vault from other shops and stuff like that is one, since Nick was already a business owner, Nick had a little bit more money to play with when it came to starting the Vault.
But it was also a bike shop.
Exactly. Which, I mean, is cool because I bought all my stuff from bike shops as a kid. I mean,
because it's a close cousin to the mechanics.
Yeah.
And
well, if I needed grips, bike shop. If I needed my scooter tightened up, or like, I mean, let's think back to threaded forks and integrated headsets and like
they have the magic
nuts.
Tools.
Yeah, you needed to go to a bike shop to use like the special wrenches to like properly tighten your headset. And that's also where my style in scootering has come from, because nobody scootered when I was a kid. I had like 3 or 4 scooter friends. Sorry, excuse me. And then all my friends were BMX riders. So I think my style on my scooter resembles more of a BMX rider than it does a scooter rider, because I would like look at how they rode and match it on my scooter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we hold the standard to that. So Nick learned what not to do. And the one thing I was saying was Nick had money to throw at the sport immediately, which is a huge thing because it immediately allowed Nick to throw ride days, make giveaway t-shirts, make YouTube,
get Apex before anybody,
start a YouTube channel, pay somebody full time to film and edit, pay people, like you were saying that you were the person that said it that really obviously made me realize it, but like I'm the only person that you can think of that genuinely gets paid to go sit in a studio and film scooter content. Like
you're the only one.
Like I'm literally sitting there talking about what is new about these products and stuff. And that's money. You're paying me to do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm an hourly paid employee to go do that. It's a job, which very grateful. But if you just started a scooter shop, You probably don't have the money to do that.
You don't have the infrastructure.
Or you have somebody that's willing to do it for free in the beginning, you know what I mean? Which is super awesome as well. So Nick had the capability of doing all that, which I think just right place, right time, and also just a lot of other business things. Obviously, like investing into like Google ads and stuff like that to have the business promoted. So when you look up pro scooters on Google, hopefully we pop up, you know what I mean? Like for the marketing aspect, that's huge. And I feel like a lot of people don't really...
They didn't value that.
Like they don't realize how much, yeah. And like I'll never be able to expose the amount of money because it's not like crazy, but like when you pay for Google stuff like that, there's like a cost per customer. So if a customer does click on like an ad link, like you know how when you Google anything, Google Sears, there's a Sears ad link and then a normal Sears link. If you click on that ad link, that costs you money. So like if that customer clicks that link and goes on our website and buys something, cool, mission success, right? We got them on the site. They bought something. Hopefully we shipped it out next day. They had an amazing experience and they only want to buy from us, right? We still paid for that customer because we were promoting the shop on Google.
Yeah.
So there's like a dollar amount for each customer, which is crazy. You know what I mean? But it's a price you have to pay. Like if you want to...
If you want to enter into the digital marketplace.
Yeah, if we want, and what we're aiming to do is... And not that I necessarily feel like there's anything super wrong with it, but I'm trying my best to get kids to stop buying their scooter parts on Amazon, you know? I get it. I mean, as an adult, when I order something, I want whatever company is going to ship it the quickest, get it here the fastest, so I can have it. But when it comes to stuff like scooter parts, there's so many variables. Defected products, warranties, knowledge about compatibility. And when you buy on Amazon, you click twice, it ships, it's to your house. But with us, we try our best at least to catch things. But if you buy a 30 wide fork with 24 mil wheels that doesn't have spacers with like an IHC clamp, we're going to call you and be like, yo, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? And help you correct it.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And I can't tell
Majority of the time when somebody orders, hypothetically, 30 wide wheels with a 24 wide fork, like, is that like an intentional, like, is that a genuine mistake?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean...
Or are they like, no, you idiot. I have one for my scooter over here, and then I need extra 30s.
I promise you 99% of the time, it's an accident.
That's
because
crazy.
How many parents are ones ordering it too? So like
parents are the nerds.
Because I mean, when you're looking at a photo of a wheel...
It looks the same.
Exactly. Same with compression, stuff like that. So it's kind of a thing, but you don't get that with Amazon. You get that with us. We are scooter riders. My customer service manager, Wyatt, scooter rider.
Everyone there is a rider. For the most part,
the vault is not rider owned, but the vault is rider
operated
to an extent. We have to be.
You have to be.
So when you call and you ask questions, we have the answers. Try calling Amazon and asking them about a scooter.
Can't.
Doesn't happen. So you have to sacrifice the accessibility of getting something super fast for the genuine connectivity that a scooter shop is going to have. Plus, if you go buy from Amazon, you're just letting your shop down. You know what I mean? And even though, yes, I work at the vault and I represent the vault to anybody, if any kid comes up to me and is like, I like Outset more than the vault, or I want to support Mothership, I'm like, I don't care where you buy your scooter parts from, just not Amazon.
So let me ask you a question. Core scooter companies sell to scooter shops, correct? Corporate scooter companies sell to Amazon.
They do both. They sell to shops and they sell to Amazon. And a lot of them sell direct.
Because I was going to ask, in order to be a core scooter brand, can you be a core scooter brand and also be sold on Amazon directly?
I don't think... I think it sucks because everybody just wants to sell scooters, right? And as long as scooters are getting out there, despite them being sold on Amazon or through Walmart, as long as kids are getting scooters, it's a plus, right? But at the same time, it's a negative. Because I don't think... If you look at skating... And I could be wrong, I'm not 100% sure, but for the most part, if you want to buy decks and trucks and wheels, you have to go to a skate shop. I don't know if you can go hop on element.com and buy a deck. You know what I mean? I think skating has always kept it pretty straightforward, where it's like, if you want to buy our stuff, here's a list of dealers, go to a shop. You know what I mean?
I wonder if that has to do with like size of product and price of product.
I don't know.
I like scooter parts are so much more expensive and so much more heavy and so much boxier and bigger. Like, you know,
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, it's a business thing. Because of course, if you have all these accessibilities, kids can stumble upon us on our website. They can stumble upon us on Amazon. They can stumble upon us on our own website or another shop's website.
Yeah.
It makes it more accessible, but at the same time, every sale matters. You know what I mean? Like every single sale matters. So if that kid goes and buys tilt wheels on Tilt's website instead of the Vault, that's a lost sale. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a plus because the kid got new wheels, a brand made money, sold wheels, kid's good to go. But at the same time,
It's like,
I personally think shops and brands should only sell to shops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, big brands should only sell directly to shops. I don't think they should sell on Amazon, and I don't think they should sell direct. I think pushing all your product through
push and pee.
yeah. I'll wait for him to.
You're good.
Oh, okay. I think that every product should be sold through a shop. You know what I mean? I think it's like the most professional way to go about it, and we all need to stop thinking about the selfish move of what's going to sell more products and what's going to keep the shops alive, because the shops are what keeps the community alive.
We need to stop focusing on who can have the bigger piece of the pie, and we just start figuring out how we can just make the pie bigger.
Absolutely. Do you know, like, oh my gosh, for kids coming into our shop, right? Whether it's a farm or whether it's Broadway, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what scooter shop it is, going in and seeing all the product, right? You have a
It's an
storefront.
experience.
Yeah, and then you have,
It's an atmosphere. It's a place for these kids that get picked on to feel safe.
but it makes them feel like they're a part of something, which it's the full circle. If you don't feel like you're a part of something, there's no longevity for you in it. You have to feel like you're a part of
It
something.
brings this twinkle.
Could you imagine where scootering would be if we just got rid of all our shops? If there was no scooter shops. You want to buy Envy wheels, you go to Envy's website. You want to buy Tilt wheels, you go to Tilt's website. You want to buy a Tilt deck, go to Tilt's
There'd be
website.
less structure.
There would be no community.
Scooter shops bring the structure.
Exactly. So
It's a physical location for an emotional sensation.
it's your interest
Amplified.
amplified. Exactly. You go, oh my God, look at all these wheels, look at all these decks, look all the apparel in person. I can pick which one I want. Look at all these sheets of grip tape in person. Then you have somebody
And you
that
see all the scooter posters on the wall, and it's like
Exactly.
there's a structure to this.
yeah, exactly. It's like being a skateboarder in a skate shop or being a snowboarder in a snowboard shop or whatever. It's literally everything that you like in one place. Mm-hmm. And
I feel like the most important thing for scooter riders between the ages of 18 and 28 right now is to hyper focus on that structure and what it, so like when you're in the scooter shop, you get the sense that there's a foundation to scootering.
yeah.
And we need to focus, the influential people within the scene need to focus on actually putting a real structure behind that.
I agree.
So that way the posters have something to be legitimized by.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's just the only way we're gonna continue to grow. You know,
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So I don't know. I don't even remember what you asked me, to be honest with you.
I don't know, we started talking.
I can't remember what you asked me that led into that, but I'm happy it happened. So
Oh yeah.
it's interesting. Scootering, man.
Well, Austin, I think this has been a fantastic podcast, and I'm so happy that you're able to come on here and you're able to talk about your unique perspective, being who you are within scootering. And I really hope that people will be able to look at your example and show that you don't have to be a great rider to be a great person within a community. You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm okay at scootering. Well, it's okay. Jeez.
I mean, you said it.
No,
I'm just saying your highlight is your
Yeah.
personality, and I feel like you're really paving a way for something cool, and I'm gonna assist you in any way I can,
I appreciate it.
and yeah, but I really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys having me, Clayton. Behind me, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for also letting me stay here.
Of course.
And yeah, obviously, thank you for everything that you've done for scootering and continue to do for scootering. Obviously, with not only yourself, both of you guys, but Undialed. Undialed's huge. I don't think scootering would be what scootering is without Undialed. I think you guys really did pave the way for a lot of, especially content-wise. You guys really paved the way for like the DIY aspect of scootering, which is huge. You know what I mean? Because not every kid has a ton of money to throw. And you guys were like, hey, here's a couple pieces of plywood and a chop saw.
Hey, we're the creative forefront.
Make sure your parents are around and you guys can make this super cool obstacle and ride it just like we can. And I think that's that's huge. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done. And
Thank you, man.
to anybody watching, go ride your scooter. Be yourself. Don't listen to the haters. If people say scootering is whack, cool. Be different. Be introverted. You don't need to be what everybody else is. If everybody is skating, do something different, because there's no need to follow trends. You know what I mean? It's all about who you are.
Follow your unique energy.
Exactly.
That'll lead you to the best places possible.
Yeah. And buy your scooter parts at scooter shops.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks
Later.
for listening.